Welcome to the Run It Back Podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And this week we're running back Blade Runner from 1982. Like always, we've watched the movie already. We're replaying in the background on mute. And I'm pretty sure the opening credits from the first time we watched it are still going.
It is 2 minutes long before the movie actually starts.
So I guess we're spoiled by today's standards where when they have the opening credits, there's shit happening. Like you're flying somewhere, you're going through a piece of machinery, something's happening. This is just a black background. So-and-so did this. This person did that.
It sets the tone for the whole movie. It lowers your expectations from the beginning. It tells you up front, hey, nothing's going to happen. You're going to be bored out of your mind. You're going to have to chew a hole in your face to stay awake. So you know what to expect going in.
It was very slow in the beginning.
The whole thing was
very
slow.
It got better.
It did not.
It did. We differ in that. So we watched this movie a couple days ago, and I've had time to think about it.
Yesterday.
Wow, it's been a long day.
Not quite 24 hours.
We watched this movie a few hours ago. And I've had time to think about it. And when the movie first ended, I had less
appreciation
for it. But also when the movie ended, and we've talked about it,
because I explained it to you?
Yes, I was still trying to figure out the ending.
I slid that Inception style ending in there that you didn't quite pick up on?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I was still thinking about that and trying to figure it out. And then it was obvious after you told me.
Well, we need to stop right here and say that we fucked up. I fucked up.
We watched the
final cut, which is technically from 2007.
Which I thought would be better because that's what...
It's the final cut.
It's the final cut. It's what the director
So they've had... Well, no, because there was this, and then there was the theatrical version, and then there was a director's cut, and then there was a final cut. This shit's been cut more times than...
Colombian Bam Bam?
Than Colombian Bam Bam.
No. Cut like the cocaine.
The difference... There's a few differences, and I'll get to them as we get there, because I don't want to spoil it all, but... There's no voiceover. In the theatrical version, Harrison Ford voices over the entire movie.
Which I feel
and kind of explain. I don't think it did.
It didn't.
Because he apparently didn't want to do it, so he read it like he was going to his own funeral. I've listened to it. It did not make it better. So they took it out.
Yeah, I'd rather just be dead silence.
And the film used to have like a blue hue to it, and in the final cut they threw a matrix green hue on top of the entire film. There's some other differences, but more plot oriented.
So like I said, it's very slow in the beginning.
It's slow all the way through.
I wouldn't say all the way through. I actually got picked up interest after a while. I felt like the general storyline would be an interesting one.
If it was done better?
If it was done better.
So I asked my dad what he thought of the movie, because he is by far the sci-fi connoisseur in our lives. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
I texted him after I was done. I was like, hey, I watched Blade Runner. Did you like this movie? And he said he liked the idea of the movie, but that the movie was shit.
That's kind of what I was getting. There's a lot of books and TV shows and movies that I really like the premise of that I end up not liking just because of the way it was done. And I think this has a little bit of that.
Right.
So, let's get into it. So, in Los Angeles, approximately 7 months ago, in 2019, November, the movie opens up and it tells you a little bit about the Tyrell Corporation and their replicants. And they have these Nexus 6 replicants.
Which featured superior strength and abilities and intelligence equal to their creators.
Yeah, so then they said equal to the software engineers.
Booked up because they made them smart and strong.
Yes.
If you're listening, anybody at Boston Dynamics, don't do both. If you're going to make them smart, make them weak. If you're going to make them strong, make them dumb.
So in order to, I guess through testing, you find out later in the movie, they showed the ability to basically, through AI, learn emotional responses, and they occasionally test random ones for emotions. So to limit this emotional learning, they kind of cap them off at a 4-year lifespan. So whenever they're born, I guess they shart. they start to shut down. They just start to shut down and basically die.
Right.
Now, these replicants are basically used as slave labor, or basically they're used like machines, but now that they're so close to humans, it was more like slave labor than being a machine.
But the Nexus 6 replicant became illegal after a massacre. I'm guessing they killed every damn body. So then they had the Blade Runners to hunt them down.
Yeah. Now, they could be used off-world in space and mining colonies.
Right.
Because those jobs were dangerous, and if something happened, you lose a bunch of machines and not a bunch of human lives.
Right.
Which kind of makes sense.
Now, the whole goddamn world is they're like zooming in on the world. I don't know if that's the world or that's the off-world mining situation or what, but it all looks like a DuPont plant. Like, we have a DuPont plant where we live.
LA. That was LA.
Yeah. It all looks like a DuPont plant, doesn't it? Like, that's all I could think of.
Okay, DuPont, and then if you're just outside of Pittsburgh, going towards Homestead, there's that, when you take that loop around Pittsburgh and go to Homestead, there's what used to be a factory, and you can see the smokestacks. They've torn the buildings down, but there's just like the 6 smokestacks when you get off, and then there's that outdoor mall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looked exactly like that with backfires. Like a real old lawnmower backfires coming out the top.
I don't think that they tore a building down and left the smokestacks. I think those smokestacks are there like as a monument. Like it has a plaque and shit. Like as a monument to the ironworkers.
They didn't just build them as the monument. That was left as the monument.
Oh,
the building was around it.
Okay.
But just imagine a bunch of smokestacks with fire flames shooting out of like odd ones every now and then.
Yeah.
So you learn. Okay, the first scene basically has a tester for the Tyrell Corporation asking.
Can you hear the name Tyrell without just?
No, without Game of Thrones. No.
Oh, I was gonna go Mr. Robot. Because
Second.
Tyrell isn't. Well, I guess like the Rose people were Tyrells, weren't they? No, mine is full on Mr. Robot.
You think that's just because we watched that after?
I don't know.
Good show. Odd.
Tyrell probably could have been a replicant. He seemed rather... Anyway, we're getting off track. Go ahead.
Well, let me just say, the second season of Mr. Robot is probably the best.
I don't think I saw that one.
We should.
Okay.
So, Leon is a replicant, and he's been brought in, and this tester is asking some questions. They said his name. It doesn't fucking matter. And Leon just kind of really questions everything.
The machine that they use, there's like a little eyepiece that flips up that like zooms in on your eyeball. And then there's like a little accordion style thing that goes up and down. I don't know its purpose. I think it was just steampunky and looked good.
Yeah, I think they just added it.
Yeah, but I think they mostly are just looking at the eyeball, right?
I think so.
Now, I assumed initially that they were looking for some kind of like dilation but is it the sheen? Because their eyes sheen differently. Their eyes sheen gold.
I thought the eye sheen was on purpose for a while, and then I was like, well, it can't be because certain things that we'll get to later, but then now I don't really know if they were using that as a...
No, their eyes definitely sheen differently. They have like a gold sheen to them.
But I think Sebastian's eyes do the same in one of the scenes, but we'll have to...
Eyes were a big deal in this whole movie.
Yeah.
I have a question about that later too. Anyway, go ahead.
So, Leon's very... combative about these questions, and you're like, this test should be over already, because this guy should have said yes. This one's fucked up. Let's get him out of here. You lie to him, tell him whatever, and you shoot him in the back of the face later, or whatever the fuck you do. So
he had a lot of questions about why he was there, and then like one of the questions was about a turtle in the desert, and he was like, "Why am I in the desert? What desert is it?"
Yeah,
and it was like you flip the turtle over, and he's like, "Why would I do that?"
And then he gets to the part where, just the turtle's on his back and you're not helping him.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get an emotional response out of him somehow. And I feel like this test just keeps going. Like, if he doesn't respond, keeps going and keeps getting to those, like, well, this happened and you could have helped, but you didn't.
He didn't get very far, though. He was like, tell me about your mother. And he's like, I'll tell you about my mom, and stood up and just shot him.
Well, he didn't stand up. He just had the gun under the table, shot him first, then stood up.
Oh, yeah.
But right before that, you learn that the Blade Runner unit is to kill the escaped replicants. either from this factory or if somebody brought replicants from off-world back to Earth.
Right.
And you learn right after this that Rick Deckard, Harrison Ford, is a Blade Runner. He's just trying to get some food. He's getting arrested for no reason.
He gets a cup of noodles, which is very important later for one of the reviews I have.
Okay, now he kept saying 4.
Uh-huh.
And the guy was like 2. And he was like, no, 4. Was he trying to get 4 cups of noodles?
No, I think he was trying to get 4 pieces of sushi. Because he said 4, and he said 2, and he was like, no, 4, and he was like 2, and he was like, fine, and a cup of noodles.
So why wouldn't he give him 4?
It's probably just a limit. I mean, it's like a post-apocalyptic bullshit,
It's
fucked
really
up world.
Technological.
We're in 2020. There's limits on everything.
It's really it's a technological, what's that word, dystopia?
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like you would think them being so technologically advanced that they would be better off, but they're not.
Are they more technologically advanced, though? Like, their cars fly, but other than that, everything looks back-assward.
Well, yeah, I think this is 37 years, 38 years now.
I'm just saying.
So, I mean, the only thing that really got wrong were these flying-ass cars, which for 1982 don't look bad.
Yes. So he's eating his cup of noodles. The cop comes over and says he's going to arrest him.
Which I thought was kind of weird, but he ends up just going with him. He's still eating his noodles.
He took his cup of noodles with him. He's hungry.
He gets back to the police department, and the
boss wanted to see him. The
lieutenant, or whatever he is, wanted to see him. He's like, if I just asked you, you wouldn't have came. And he's like, I was quit before I came here. I'm double quit now. And tries to walk out. And the lieutenant says something like, well, if you're not a cop, you're one of the little people.
Yeah.
Which didn't make sense to me until later on. It didn't really hit me until you told me about the end.
I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows.
Something in his brain clicked, but he doesn't. I don't think he knows he's a replicant. Spoiler alert! I mean, if you haven't watched this you should always watch the movie before you fucking listen to us. So,
or don't. I do not recommend. Like, if you haven't watched the
watch
movie,
this movie,
and for some damn reason you're
watch
still
the
listening
other
to this,
cut. Watch the theatrical cut.
Don't.
Or the director's cut. Something.
Don't do it without like a cup of coffee and a pack of no-dos.
So, the lieutenant wants Deckard to go put a machine on a replicant at the Tyrell Corporation.
He explains that there's 4 replicants on the loose, and he was like, send somebody else. He's like, I did. They're all dead. You're the only one that can do it. Said that there were 6 replicants originally. They killed 26 people at like the mining colony. 2 of them died in wherever they were.
Los Angeles. 6 of them got to Los Angeles.
Yeah, but then 2 died.
So you're left with Roy?
So you're left with 4. 3 badasses and a sex robot.
Yeah, so the 3 badasses are Roy, who's basically the leader. He ends up being like the thinker. There's Zora, which the lieutenant called the Beauty and the Beast. Seems like a badass sex worker, almost. Leon, which is just fucking, his bolts are loose and he's fucking crazy. And then there's Pris, or Pri, however you want to say it.
She was a leisure.
She's a fleshlight.
She was described as a leisure replicant. Yeah, she's a sex robot.
So he wants Deckard to go to the Tyrell Corporation to put a machine on a known replicant to get the result. Well, he gets there, he's meted by what you think is like a secretary person.
Rachel.
She talks to him for a little bit, and then the doctor comes in. He's
Tyrell.
But was he the original Tyrell, or is he his
son? He is Tyrell.
So he is the mastermind behind the replicants altogether.
Right.
He agrees to let Deckard test a replicant, but he was like, I want to see it work on
a person
first. He was like, I want you to test Rachel. I want to see a negative before I see a positive.
And Rachel asked if he's ever messed up and killed a person by mistake.
He said no, right?
Yeah.
So he asked Rachel.
He said not that I know of.
A shit ton of questions.
100. Over 100. Said that the machine usually takes 30 to 40 questions, but it took over 100. And Tyrell immediately just dismisses her, and then she walks out of the room, and he's like, she see her eyeshine. Said she's a replicant, isn't she? But she doesn't know it.
Now, the eyeshine could be due to the red light on that thing, because when he's...
Nope.
When he's zoomed in on her, it's a regular eyeball. Probably the same eyeball for her.
Well, it's just when...
Well,
the light
it's weird
hits it
because she has brown
ways.
eyes, and when they show the close-up, it's always
It's
like a green. So he asks his questions. Eventually, he gets to the point where he knows she's a replicant. But he doesn't say anything.
Right.
The doctor, like you said, excuses her. She goes off and immediately starts talking about her being a replicant. He knows that Deckard knows. And he asks him how many does it take and all that. So he said that the doctor added memories to the replicants to make them more human.
Right.
The goal at the Tyrell Corporation is more human than human, a la Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie probably got that from.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's it. That's the whole scene. He just leaves then. That's all.
well, I thought he went. Well, no, he
just leaves because then the next thing I have is that Coca-Cola still has LED billboard money. Good for them.
Yep.
No, because then he's just taking a shower in his hotel. Oh no, he goes to Leon's hotel. Excuse me.
He goes to Leon's hotel. In the bathtub, he finds this scale.
I thought it was a replicant skin flake. It ended up not to be, but that was like, what the fuck is that? Because they were everywhere. You find out that Leon had been there at the same time watching him because later Roy asked that you get your pictures you're so fond of. And he said he couldn't because the cops were there.
Yeah.
But he had like this huge stack of pictures.
Deckard took those.
Deckard took the pictures.
So you got the weird origami police, or aka Admiral Adama, who just kind of, he doesn't really do anything other than make his origami and sit in the background.
He makes little origami animals and people and just leaves them around, and it is the weirdest shit.
So you meet Roy, him and Leon go to this lab.
They go to the lab where the eyes are made for the replicants. But the entire lab is frozen. And the guy working has on like a full-on
parka,
like animal skin jacket like you would see in fucking Game of Thrones at the wall.
And he's hooked
but
up
it
to
has
hoses.
I couldn't figure it out. Were they heat?
Yeah, it was like to keep him warm.
But why was the entire, like he was just making eyeballs. Why was the entire lab frozen?
To prevent breakdown of tissue.
It's fucking stupid.
So when you store those tissues, you have to store them like -80 or something like that, so they get like all the way frozen, so there's no tissue breakdown. Hence the frozen lab.
Do you also drink? Do you drink and know things? I drink and know things,
yes. It's getting to be I drink a lot more than I know things anymore.
The more you drink, the less you know things.
I don't know. Sometimes it works backwards. The whole time they're asking the guy in the lab questions, they want answers to basically. They know they're living. They know they're going to live for 4 years and they're going to die. They want to prevent this.
Their end game is to find somebody that can extend their life.
Yeah. So they kind of. This is their revolution for their people, their replicants, to live longer and have a better life or whatever. But the whole entire time, Leon is just taking these eyeballs and just placing them on the little scientist dude.
I think they were trying to intimidate him, but I mean, he plays with eyeballs all day. Like, he's not bothered by that.
Yeah, he puts one on one shoulder.
Yeah.
And he puts one on another shoulder. And then he put one on top of his head.
Yeah, it's real weird.
It was odd. Leon's, like I said, his bolts are gone.
Yeah. I think he's real upset that he's going to die. But they take the guy's jacket off of him, and he's freezing, he's shivering, and then Leon, like, sticks his hand down in the frozen, I don't know, I assumed it was like a...
vat? Storage container?
Like a dry ice situation. I guess just to prove that he can. But he convinces him that he just makes eyeballs. He doesn't know anything. And he tells him that he really needs Tyrell, but he can't get him to him. They need to find Sebastian.
Yes. Then it cuts to Deckard's going home, and Rachel has stalked his ass, and she's in the elevator. I don't know how you walk into an elevator and you're not paying enough attention that you don't see her there.
Yeah.
So he gets in there and it goes up, and he just kind of opens his eyes as he gets to his floor. She's there, scares the shit out of him. And they go into his apartment.
She realizes after the test that she's a replicant. Or that Tyrell...
He thinks.
Well, I think she said, I don't know why Tyrell told you that. It can't be true. And she has a picture of her and her mom when she was little. And she starts trying to tell him about, like, her childhood. And he interrupts her and was like, you and your brother once snuck into an abandoned building to play doctor. You were going to show him yours and he was going to show you his. And after he showed you his, you got nervous and ran away. And she was just kind of stunned. He was like, and then there was a spider that he describes in gross detail. It was like outside your window in the bush. And you watched it for weeks, and then there was an egg, and it hatched, and hundreds of babies came out, and then what'd you do? And she said, I ate the spider. And he was like, right, and you never told anybody that, right? So, like, he knew all of her memories. He told her that they were Tyrell's niece's memories. Tyrell's niece is a freak.
Did she eat the spider?
She ate the mommy spider, yeah.
I thought the little spiders ate the mommy spider.
No.
Yes.
No.
The little ones.
She said, and then what did you do? And she said, I ate it.
They ate it.
I ate it. Tyrell's niece is a freak. She done saw her brother's dick. She thought about showing her brother her vag. And then she ate the mommy spider. I'm telling you. He's Googling it because he doesn't believe me. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty damn sure I ate it.
And they ate her.
They ate her.
100 baby spiders came out. And what happened? They ate her.
Damn.
Okay, so you're watching this whole movie thinking Rachel's a fucking freak.
Well, no. Tyrell's niece is a freak. Cause she's playing doctor with her brother and she ate the mommy spider. The baby's ate her seems a little better.
Does it though?
Yeah, that's natural.
It's because it's natural, don't mean it's right.
I don't know about playing doctor with your brother. That's still fucked up,
no,
though.
that ain't right either.
So then we meet Pris. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, well, first you're just looking at this rando hooker walking down the street in the worst wig that you've ever seen.
I'm sure it's not, but doesn't the sound, like the soundtrack when she walks up, did it remind you instantly of Hookers on the Point?
Like the HBO.
The HBO Hookers on the Point. Like, I swear to God, it was the same music.
It could have been. So she goes.
I'm glad to know that hookers still look the same in 2019.
They do.
They do.
They look a lot.
Can like confirm. Looked just like that.
She's walking down the street. There's a car coming. She decides to hide in a trash pile. And I originally thought it was just the trash man coming to get the trash. And it startled her and she runs out. She runs out. She gets startled and scared and runs away so hard she busts the glass in this vehicle that he was in.
But it's Sebastian.
It's Sebastian, and you could tell that this was all just a ploy.
They planted her there, yeah.
To get to him. But I think the fact that she ran into the car and broke the fucking glass, and he was a pretty smart dude, he knew. You know he knows from early on, but I think he knew from the get-go.
Here's the thing. When all your blood's in your penis, your brain knows thanky good. And she had on virtually no clothes.
She had on plenty of clothes.
He seemed hella lonely and weird. So he was probably real excited to see the amount of clothes she didn't have on. So he was willing to overlook any and all flaws. You've been to a bar on a college town on a Thursday night. Guys are willing to overlook a lot of shit if you don't have on enough clothes.
The same can be said of girls.
No.
Yes.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Our overlooking doesn't have anything to do with the amount of clothes you have on.
Maybe.
We overlook things because we think we can change you. Anyway, she asks if he lives there alone, and he says yes. And she says that must be lonely, and he was like, no, I make toys. I'm a genetic designer. He doesn't make puppets, folks. He makes people. Like little, creepy fucking people.
Some of them are machines. Others are closer to humans. He's definitely got the little people on lock.
It is terrifying.
He's got a little soldier dude.
It is terrifying. There's a scene later where there's just like a table, a dinner table, and all his toys are at it. And it dead ass reminded me of the dinner table scene from like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was terrifying.
I didn't get the terrifying thing from it, but it was definitely weird.
Terrifying. She needed to run her ass out of that building.
She's a replicant.
I don't care.
She wanted to be there.
I know she wanted to be there. I'm just saying.
What you didn't know about her crotch locks that we'll get to later? The Vulvinator?
So it goes back to old Deckard. And he is using the first ever computer enhance.
The voice activated.
Enhance. Move in and enhance. Center and enhance.
Yeah, he does all kinds of weird shit.
Yeah. So he is single-handedly responsible for CSI, NCIS, SVU, any show that's fully based on initials.
So through all these enhancements and different parts of this photo, he finds a girl.
It's the photo he took from Leon's apartment.
He finds a girl with a snake tattoo on
her face.
Below her ear, chin, face, cheek area.
Uh-huh.
And he's got that little scale. And I think he could tell that she was in Leon's apartment at some point.
Yeah.
So he knows if he can find where the scale came from, he can find Zora, the Beauty and the Beast replica. So he
takes the snake scale back to like the open market where he was eating a noodle cup, and somebody analyzed it for him and it had a serial number on it, and they told him like where it was made and who probably bought it.
So then he goes to find who bought it, which I didn't get the name.
Taffy Lewis.
Taffy Lewis basically says it wasn't his.
It's at like a burlesque club.
Yeah. So he buys fake snakes all the time, whatever.
Yeah, Deckard didn't seem to be in any hurry or panic about it though, cause he just gets up and goes over to like the payphone and calls Rachel.
Well, first
from the bar, he wanted her to come.
Like, you need a drink.
Yeah.
And they bring him a drink with a fucking baby octopus in it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's in like an old school margarita glass where it's wide brimmed.
It was like it was tall. It was like a tall fluted glass that then turned into like
the old margarita glasses are really wide at the top, and they have like a little bowl in it. The wide part was painted white, but the bowl was clear. There was a little baby octopus in the bottom of it.
I didn't notice that. Yeah. But so he goes to the payphone to call Rachel he wants her to come to the bar with him. She won't do it.
So then, so Deckard has narrowed down where this fake snake probably was. So he's hanging outside of this burlesque place waiting to find Zora. And he pretends to be the Me Too police. So in 1982, they called it. So he legit basically pretends to be the Me Too police. There's people out here, they want to
take advantage of you.
They want to do anything they can to look at naked pictures of you.
I want to look around your dressing room for holes.
Yeah. So he's going in, and I think he's just looking for confirmation. He, like, other than the tattoo, he wants to be 100% sure.
Right.
She gets a little skeptical of him, ends up throat punching him and escaping, which I thought she was weird, that she put on her hooker combat boots. She had him help her with her Fallout 76 Raider bra.
Fair.
Puts on a clear poncho.
Mm-hmm.
She had more clothes on in the burlesque show than she when she throat punches him and runs away, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, he's like, fuck it. That's all the confirmation I need. And he runs after her. He ends up shooting her in the back a couple times.
A few times. So the cop that arrested him, or took him in, whatever, at the beginning, comes up to him and was like, good job. You only have 4 to go. And he was like, 3. I have 3 to go. He was like, no, the replicant from Tyrell's escaped. We didn't even know she was a replicant. You have 4. So they want him to kill Rachel. Meanwhile, Rachel has actually came to see him at the bar because as the crowd starts to disperse, she's standing there. Like, she sees what's going on and runs.
Leon also saw him shoot Zora.
Right. He did not care for that.
He didn't care for that, and he starts attacking Deckard.
Screaming about how long am I going to live? How long do I have?
Yeah, he's basically having an existential crisis. The thought of death is just getting to him. It's
right.
Like, it's frying his circuit. Rachel saves the day, shoots him in the back of the face.
Yeah, Leon was 100% going to kill him.
Oh, yeah. There's no way he was getting away.
Yeah. Deckard saved a lot of times in this movie. Like, all of these people get the drop on him. Like, he's almost dead multiple times.
So
Rachel shoots Leon, and she asks him, if I were to disappear, go north somewhere, would you hunt me?
Well, they go to his apartment first, and she asks him.
And he says, not me. I owe you one. And he stops for a while, and he's like, but someone would.
Yeah.
So she asks if he's ever taken one of those tests himself.
He just kind of
ignores it. But she starts to leave. Like, she gets upset. She starts to leave. He runs over, slams the door, won't let her leave. And shit gets real rapey. He, slams her up against the wall. And he's telling her to tell him.
Well, before all this, she plays the piano that he has in his room. Mm-hmm. She lets her hair down. Then she'd try to leave. And then that's when he gets rapey with her. And basically tells her to give him consent.
He was like, tell me you want it. Tell me you want me to touch you. Tell me you want me to kiss you. So, I looked it up. Most people were talking about, like, is it rape? Can you rape a robot? But anyway.
I feel like in her case, yes. Like, she wasn't built for that. That wasn't in her programming.
So, people on Reddit believe that Deckard's rape scene is a litmus test. We all know the scene has been highlighted as an issue in the movie and a very dated and rapey scene. When I first watched Blade Runner, I didn't have an issue with the scene. It wasn't until my second viewing that I felt very uncomfortable watching it. I kept wondering why that is. After some thought, I came to the conclusion that the first time watching Blade Runner, I saw Rachel as nothing more than a robot. It wasn't until fully watching the movie that I believed in her humanity. So, I think of this scene as a litmus test to whether or not you believe in Rachel and the other replicants' humanity. And then somebody else said, I had a conversation with my college roommate about this scene way back in 1985. He thought that Deckard was trying to get Rachel to have a true emotional response in order to validate her humanity and justify not allowing her to be killed.
Ooh.
If she could feel something that wasn't a programmed response to an artificial memory, then she was human or human enough. I've thought about that conversation a lot since then.
That person makes a lot of sense. I have a little bit more respect for Deckard now.
I mean, I don't know. I think it might just be rapey for the sake of being rapey.
I think it was a little drunk and it started off rapey, and maybe that person's right that he was trying to provoke her in a way to show him something, right?
Right. So we missed a very crucial and critical scene here. So before he goes all Captain Enhance on the picture to find Zora, he's in his apartment. He's kind of has his head down on the piano. He's playing the piano and he starts, I guess, dreaming. But his dreams are of this unicorn running through a meadow. Neither of us wrote it down because it didn't seem important at the fucking time. Turns out to be real fucking important.
Do you think in the book he was dreaming of like some kind of sheep and then that dude made a fucking origami sheep?
I don't know.
Anyway.
So we were at him being rapey.
I kind of lean towards the one person. He's trying to get that response out of her. Then it cuts to Pris at Sebastian, and Roy shows up.
This is with the Texas chainsaw table.
The Roy shows up, and Sebastian either figures out that they were replicants or already knew, and they start talking about it.
Well, he comes to tell her that everybody else is dead. They're the only ones that have lived. And they tell it, Sebastian's like, hey, I'm gonna make breakfast. Y'all want some breakfast? So he puts these eggs and he's boiling them, but it's like a long tube. It's real weird, but they keep showing the tube. They show the tube by itself 7 times. And I know she eventually goes over there and puts her hand in it to, I guess, prove the same point that the fucking dude did in the frozen lab. But they spent a lot of time focusing on the tube. It's not that big a damn deal.
Maybe it was just a different way of cooking them. They were trying to show they were technologically advanced.
He was boiling an egg.
I don't know.
Anyway, they kind of realize he's lonely and kind of sad, and instead of threatening him, just kind of butter him up. She has all 4 limbs wrapped around him at one point, and Roy's trying to make him laugh and make him comfortable and kind of begging and pleading to get him in to see Tyrell.
And he agrees to do that. So I guess him and Tyrell are playing this ongoing game of chess, and they just call each other. They both have boards. Call each other, make a move, whatever. Roy had tried to make a move, and Sebastian's like, you don't want to do that. The queen takes that one, whatever. Checkmate. And Roy kind of learned from it, and basically they use that to call Tyrell up. Sebastian gives him the move. He goes over, realizes basically he's lost the game. Sebastian said he's only beaten Tyrell once before.
Right.
Tyrell kind of can tell something's up with him.
He tells him to come up.
Come up, they want to talk. So they go in, they end up getting to Tyrell's room or whatever.
Tyrell says, I'm surprised you haven't came up sooner than this. And you kind of think he's talking to Sebastian, but I think he's actually talking to Roy. He realizes immediately what's happening. Roy keeps pleading with Tyrell that he needs a longer life, and it's not fair to live your whole life in fear of your own death, and on and on and on. And Tyrell basically tells him that they've tried to make their life longer, that they've tried multiple different ways, and each time it ends with them dying. They get a virus, and then you fix this part, and then they get a different virus.
No, I thought the 4 years was purpose, so why couldn't they undo?
Well, they said that they tried. I mean, they did undo it with Rachel. But I guess after that 4-year time limit's been put in, it's there.
So if they are manufactured to last longer, then that's fine. But if they're not, they can't.
Right. Okay. They can't undo it.
Alright, there's just oversight on my part.
Well, it's also because we watched the final cut, not the theatrical cut, which at the end talks about Rachel's timeline. Lifeline. Fuck it, I don't know. Life expectancy.
So, Roy and Tyrell talk. They figure all this shit out. Roy gives him a weird ass mouth kiss.
Is the kiss of death.
And like head crushing, eye gouging, a la Game of Thrones. And Tyrell's dead.
Right. Sebastian sees it and he runs away and Roy walks after him. So I'm assuming he kills Sebastian too because he comes home without him.
Could go either way.
I think they killed him.
Well, Sebastian wasn't really long for that world anyway because he had some kind of genetic disorder where he aged faster than he should have. Not quite progeria level, like a lot slower, but he was. You could definitely tell.
He looked like he had grayscale, like his face was.
They put like, older people. You're like, how do you get wrinkles? Like he had started to get the wrinkles on the cheek.
So Deckard goes to Sebastian's.
He finds Pris.
Well, he's looking for her, and she's pretending to be a toy. She has like a sheet draped over her, and she's hiding in the middle of all these toys. And he walks around, and he takes the sheet off, and he's trying to look at her to see...
More like a veil than a sheet.
To see if she's, what he's looking for or not, and she just attacks him. And I gotta tell you, I think he may just underestimate women or something, because these women get the jump on him a fucking lot.
Well, they're also replicants. They're stronger.
That's his job!
I think he just got lucky a lot. But...
I don't think he's particularly good at his job, so I'm saying.
I also have a theory about this, too. That'll have to come towards the end. But she gets him in the crotch lock, and they close up right on her vagina a lot in this crotch lock. And eventually he kind of turns around, he's facing her. How's he get out of it? Because at one point,
I know he kills her.
She moves, and he actually... For a second, I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention, and I was like, did she just fucking turn his head completely 180? But he had actually turned his whole body around, and he's facing her. She gets off of him.
He shoots her. He just shoots her.
Before he shoots her, she decides, hey, you know how I'm going to kill this motherfucker? Floor exercise. So she does her floor exercise routine.
That was your favorite part of the Summer Olympics, right? Like, you're definitely the most upset that you're missing floor exercise right now.
I like... The shit they do is incredible. I like watching it. The whole... Okay, when they go corner to corner, awesome. The little hands up frilly bullshit that they do in between, there's no need for that. Because nobody's going to win on all her pinky was out. When they fucking do those deductions, that's bullshit. This bitch did 17 flips. The last one was like a quadruple flip and she twisted around a 540 and fucking stuck it without like flinching or hesitating. She gets a fucking 10. It's a 10. I don't care that she fell to the floor dramatically and lifted her head up and stuck her chest out. Like, fuck that. Do a couple of the corner runs where they're doing amazing shit and just call it something else. Like, we don't need this twirly ribbon shit either.
This is my life every 4 years, folks.
Anyway, she does her floor exercise and he basically shoots her on her way to stick her landing.
Right.
Just...
Here's my what the fuck moment. Is her death scene.
Her seizure?
So, he shoots her, maybe twice, I'm not sure. But she just starts... It's like an exorcism. Like, she starts jerking and flopping. Like, it is the most hammed up bullshit-ass death scene I've ever seen in my whole life. It's so weird. Why?
Like short-circuited her a little bit, and she just...
It was so weird. It wasn't even like little twitches like she was having. Like, it was full on, like, it was just the weirdest thing. I can't even describe it.
Yeah.
One of my Instagram posts for this is definitely going to be, if I can find it, her dying. So Roy comes home.
Roy comes back. He sees that Pris is dead, and he kisses her really... Her tongue's kind of halfway sticking out, and he, like, takes his tongue and shoves it back in her mouth. Fucking weird.
He takes her blood and, rubs it down the center of his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, makes war paint with her blood. Like, it is so fucked up.
Yeah, Roy's got problems of his own.
Roy's got some problems.
Roy's having an existential crisis.
As well
as all the other. He might be having it worse, but he's able to cope with it a little better. But coping with it a little better is a very strong phrase.
Yeah.
Roy starts basically trash talking Deckard.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he's on the opposite side of the wall as Deckard. He punches through, grabs Deckard's hand, pulls it through. He breaks some fingers, and for whatever reason, just decides to let Deckard's hand go
Well,
with the gun.
He has the gun. He takes the gun. He breaks his fingers. He gives him his gun back.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'll stand real still, but you still have to shoot straight or something," because he's going to have to shoot him with the other hand.
Yeah.
Which does not work.
Deckard resets the bones in his finger.
Right.
As best he can, I guess. Which looks real painful.
This is why he was like, "I'm going to give you a few minutes." And he goes over and, like, kisses the dead body and smears the blood all over his face. And all of it is very, very weird. They fight, but at some point, I guess Roy's body is starting to fail. And I couldn't really understand what was going on. His hand wouldn't open, so he just rams a nail through it. His
hand was basically what the old people would say, drawing in, and his arm was coming. Because his hand started doing it. And his wrist came in and his elbow, and he couldn't get his arm from his elbow. I think he took a nail from a beam and drove it through his hand, and I think that loosened up one of the circuits or something. He knew enough to do that, because once he did that, he left the nail in, and
he seems awfully smart, considering that when he comes home and tells her that they're the only two left, she goes, "But we're dumb. We'll die."
She's dumb.
She is dumb.
At this point, Roy strips down to his boxers for this fight.
I couldn't figure out why he was naked. I guess I looked away for a second or possibly fell asleep and lapsed into a fucking coma. But when I came to, he was in boxers.
Yeah.
Why?
Don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I guess more range of motion. I don't know.
So he also decides he's going to climb up on the roof, on a ledge, and have this here fight.
Well, no. Deckard is in a room and crawls up this statue, and there's a hole at the top of the statue in the floor. Because there's a leak from the roof on the top floor. He crawls up, pushes himself off the statue through the hole, and Roy goes up to that floor to fight him. They fight in that flooded out bathroom.
That's why he sticks the nail in his hand.
Roy jumps out of the window and onto the ledge and climbs up to the roof. Then he decides his only chance is to jump across the way to another building. But he doesn't quite make it. He's hanging. It's raining. He's hanging off of this beam with his hands.
Right. And Roy picks him up and puts him back on the roof.
Well, first, Roy gets up to the roof and just mysteriously has this white dove.
Yeah.
That he's just holding.
Yeah.
So I feel like we missed something there. Like, whether he just walked by and just snatched one up. Okay, like, he just has it. They don't show him grabbing it.
He needed it for the dramatic ending.
This final cut did not have whatever that was in it.
Can I just say, guys, for as long as we've been talking, we have the movie on mute in the background. He is just now to the part where he's killing the snake lady.
Zora.
Like, it is the slowest goddamn movie.
So, Roy jumps across. Roy kind of does his own thing on that roof for a while, and then decides, fuck it. He jumps across, and he starts talking to Deckard.
But he takes his hand and picks him up.
Well, Deckard goes to slip. Roy grabs him.
Right.
Picks him up, puts him down, and you're like, oh, Roy's going to fuck him up. Roy just decides to sit down with him.
Yeah, well, I think his body was just full on failing at that point. But he says it's quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it? And he was trying to, like, get him to empathize with him, like, this is how we feel all the time. And then he says...
So he's talking about, dying and all that, and you tell he's kind of sad, and he starts to tear up. All these moments will be lost in time, like tears in the rain.
Right. They said it's the most famous line of the movie, and that guy improvised it. It wasn't in the script.
Which I thought was a good line, because right before then he had kind of talked about his life and all the things he's seen.
Yeah, these eyes have seen so much, it's all going to be lost with me.
You wouldn't believe the things I've seen. He talks about these terrible things.
Right.
And then he gives the line, all these moments that he's just talked about will be lost in time, like tears in the rain, as the rain's just pouring down. And he basically dies.
He says, well, time to die. Dies, open his hand, the doves fly away, because you need the symbolism. And then I put, Jesus Christ, thank God this shit has to be over. But it is not.
So Gaff, Admiral Adama,
the cop,
right after all this, lands on the roof, presumably gets Deckard to safety. They take care of the replicant body, whatever. Looks at Deckard and says, it's too bad that she won't live. But then again, who does?
Right.
And it's like one of his very few lines in the movie. And you're like, well, he knows about Rachel.
Right.
So Deckard goes home. He's kind of paranoid. His door's kind of ajar anyway. He's got his gun out. He's going through his house. He clears the house. He pulls the sheet off of Rachel in the bed. She's just laying there. And I guess at this point he decides he's going to run away with her.
Right.
He's going to help her.
He asks if she trusts him. If she loves him. And she's like, of course I love you. I was like, that's quick.
She does what she's told.
Apparently.
So they get to the door and he has an abundance of caution coming through. He makes sure everything's clear. They get to the elevator across the balcony away from his room. He turns around and in the floor outside his door is a little origami unicorn.
Right.
And he kind of flashes back to it's a shame she won't live, but then again, who does?
Right.
And I didn't get this at first. So what this means is he was dreaming about that fucking unicorn.
Right.
He has told Gaff at some point, or they somehow know, and he is a replicant.
Well, he didn't tell anybody. They just know his memories. Because you didn't get that he was a replicant at all.
No.
And I was like, what did he leave outside his door? And you were like, a unicorn. And I was like, what was he dreaming about? And you were like, a unicorn. And I was like, and if you were a grown-ass man dreaming about unicorns, would you tell other people? And you were like, it depends on the person. I was like, would you tell the asshole cop that you didn't seem to really get along with? He was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. Like, I'm like, okay, there's unicorn here. What the fuck? It's double rainbow. What does it mean?
So it says it's a major point of contention with sci-fi fans. But director Ridley Scott said the answer is clear. Yes, Blade Runner Rick Deckard is a replicant. In the director's cut, there's a short scene where Deckard dreams about the unicorn. Now, that was not in the original theatrical version.
So we would have missed that one.
There's a short scene where Deckard daydreams about a unicorn. Later, near the end of the film, Gaff leaves an origami unicorn for Deckard to find. The unicorn that's used in Deckard's daydream tells me that Deckard wouldn't normally talk about such a thing to anyone. If Gaff knew about that, the unicorn is Gaff's message basically saying, I've read your file, mate. He knows about Deckard's private daydreams because those daydreams were implanted into his brain. Harrison Ford for a long time said that he doesn't think he's a replicant. He said, quote, I thought it's more important for the audience to be able to have a human representative on screen, somebody that they could have an emotional understanding of. Ridley didn't think that was all that important. Said over the years he's been wore down and said, fine, okay, you win, anything, just please put it to rest. Fine, I'm a replicant.
I definitely think he's a replicant.
He is.
He
has eyeshine.
I also think that he doesn't in that scene.
It's not every scene. Like when you look at the goddamn dog, she doesn't always have eyeshine. But when the light hits it right, Moxie sheen's green, River sheen's blue.
Everybody's eyeshine in the right light.
Yes. They're not gold.
Why are you getting so worked up about this?
Because you're acting like I'm wrong.
I didn't say you were wrong.
We don't walk around with sheen 24 hours a day. But when the light hits it, theirs sheen differently than humans.
Yes, I get that. Why are you so upset about it?
Because you're acting like I'm wrong.
I never said you were wrong.
You're like, it doesn't
I just said in that scene.
Because the light
So like if they were
it.
using it as a clue the whole time, I think it's just in that red light. In the scenes with the red lights.
No, it's because
the owl always sheens, and then the replicants when that red light is there, they sheen down.
But it's not only when they're doing the test.
Okay.
It's just when light hits it.
But I also think the unicorn was his way of saying, okay.
No, I don't like your fucking sheen. Not a test.
Alright, so it doesn't happen just during the test. It happens.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Today's argument is brought to you by F and U.
I feel like the origami unicorn is Gaff's way of saying, I'm not going to come after you.
But I know.
Do
you think he knows? I mean, do you think he knew before he got the unicorn?
No. I think he has no idea before he got the unicorn.
Right. Same.
He might have had some doubts when she said, have you ever used the test on yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think you can use the test on yourself.
But
you have to be asked by somebody else. But I think the unicorn probably confirmed it to him.
Yeah. So in the theatrical version, like I said, in the version we watched,
the final cut,
there's no voiceover. No. Yeah, there's no voiceover that was in the original. There was the unicorn dream. That wasn't in the original. Which just makes the ending real fucking confusing. If if it's not there earlier. This one just ends there. Them getting in the elevator, so you don't really know what happened. In the original one, they had a whole escape scene where they literally drove off into the sunset, and the voiceover told you that she was supposed to die in 4 years, but she didn't because she didn't have a termination date.
Does he?
I mean, I wouldn't guess since they just made a new one and he's in it.
Now, I haven't watched the new one, and maybe this question's answered there. I think everybody at the police department knows he's a replicant. That's why he has to go do it.
Yeah.
1, he's expendable. 2, it kind of feels like they can't kill him. For whatever reason, because Roy fucks with him a little bit, but never once does Roy actually threaten his life. And Roy saves him. So I don't know if they can kill him. Like, maybe it's...
No, I think you're wrong.
I mean, they can kill other replicants, but Zora, if anybody was going to kill him, Zora had the...
I mean, they all tried. Leon, he was going to be 100% dead at Leon's hands if Rachel here didn't shoot him in the head.
Maybe. But I don't think there was any way Pris was... She's too busy with
Shut him
her
in
floor
the
exercise. She's too busy with her floor exercise.
No. So, even the studio called the film Deadly Dull. It was actually their screening notes. I'm not going to read them all, but some of them I think are hilarious because I felt the exact same way. The opening is too choppy. We didn't get the voiceover, but it says the voiceover is dry and monotone, which I watched a clip and it is awful. Voiceover is terrible. The audience will fall asleep. What are you doing? I thought we decided to lose the stick figures, which is like the origami.
Stick figure.
This movie gets worse with every screening. Why is the voiceover track so terrible? Hopefully this isn't being dubbed in. He sounds drugged. Were they all on drugs when they did this movie? Why does it take so long for Pris to get into Sebastian's building? This picture
really take that long.
This picture gets duller every time I see it. It can't just be that it's black and white and undubbed. It's so bad. Why is Zora's death in slow motion? You have to put more tits into Zora's dressing room scene, which they did.
I don't feel like they needed that.
They were trying to keep the audience engaged, because the rest of this movie is a fucking bummer.
I kind of think it was supposed to be a bummer.
Her death scene is too long, which
You already said.
No, I said, why is Zora's death scene in slow motion? But why is Pris's death so long? Like, why the fuck is she flopping around like that?
I think she short-circuited.
And then it said, her tongue is sticking out in the wide shot after he kissed her. Why? Up to Zora's death, this picture is deadly dull. The voiceover is an insult. Yeah, so they didn't like the film either.
They released it, though.
They released it. It cost $28 million to make. Its opening weekend, it only made $6 million back. This article here was written in 2017, and it said, only now has it broken $33.7 million total. So, it was a bit of a flop budget-wise.
Oh, God.
I got some rips. Brian James, I guess it's Brian, Brion.
Is that Roy?
Brian James, yeah, he's Roy. He died in 1999 at the age of 54. And Rutger Hauer, Brian James is Leon. Rutger Hauer is Roy. He died in 2019. So the book the movie's based off of is...
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Right. So it's a book, but I found out today on Twitter that it has been made into a graphic novel, if that does anything for anybody. The girl on Twitter said that she's only a little bit of the way in, but that it's really good. I mean, it can't be worse than this.
Probably a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot more freedom. The book has to be better. I feel like, especially if you're interested in the premise.
The concept, yeah.
The book probably has a lot more details. Hey, there's a unicorn right there, too.
Yep.
In his little weird...
In Sebastian's creepy house.
What's up with her airbrushed raccoon makeup? Like,
she painted herself like his dolls. Like, their faces are all stark white like that.
And then she decided to make her eyes weird.
Yeah. So it says the movie is cursed. It might not be the hardcore curse such as the Poltergeist or the Omen, but Blade Runner has a curse of its own. On the businesses whose logos appear in the film.
Except for Coke.
Atari, Pan Am, RCA, Cuisinart, and Bell Phones all suffered severe business problems in the years shortly after Blade Runner's release, as did Coca-Cola in 1985 with the New Coke experiment. They referred to it as the product placement Blade Runner curse.
Do you think New Coke just tasted like Pepsi and people fucking hated it?
I don't know. Let me tell you something. If I order Coke and if you ask me if Pepsi is okay, it is never.
No, it is not.
Never fucking okay.
I literally said, on a Coke or I want a Diet Coke, is Pepsi fine? Just fucking bring me water, bitch.
Yeah, like, oh, no, absolutely not. I hate when they don't ask you if it's fine and you're just expecting like a glorious Coke and you take a giant drink of a Pepsi and then you gotta spit it everywhere. Like you feel like you're poisoned. You're not sure if it's a Pepsi or there's something real wrong with your Coke.
Take a giant drink of carbonated storm drain.
Oh, it's so bad. I don't understand the people that drink it willingly.
Pepsi's other products aren't as bad. But if they should just give up on making actual Pepsi and make the other shit.
So, are you ready for the...
Thermometer?
You want to take a guess?
I'm going to say critics said 50.
The critic said 90.
90. And the audience said 40.
91.
Really?
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
Now, I had never watched this movie up until now, and I really, really wanted it to live up to the hype.
It says, misunderstood when it first hit theaters, the influence of Ridley Scott's mysterious neo-noir Blade Runner has deepened with time. A visually remarkable, achingly human sci-fi masterpiece.
It's on its way to being a... It's just not quite there yet. Ooh, he called them high-waisted pants, though.
Those are almost to his tits.
Sebastian got the Star Trek outfit on. The little ripples across the chest and the arm.
Yeah.
So, the movie ended, and I was like, man, I was disappointed.
Yeah, it was bad.
I was disappointed. Then we talked about the ending, and where I just kind of went over my head a little bit. And I've had all day to think about it. And I went from a 3 out of 5 to possibly a 4. But you have to really think about it.
So, I famously know the ending of movies before they happen. I have never seen this before. I wrote down Deckard is a replicant while he was giving Rachel the test.
Let me see.
It just says Deckard question mark question mark.
I will say that about 3 minutes into Shutter Island.
I don't know if it was 3 minutes. It's the opening scene while they're in the boat going across the water to Shutter Island.
You called that he was the patient.
I called the entire fucking movie.
So, and you do it so often that I will ask you sometimes, when did you get it? Or did you see that coming? You'd be like, yeah, okay, well, when? And then you'll be like, when this happened, I started to question it, but I really knew when this happened. So, have I told the Westworld story yet?
I don't know. Fucking stupid goddamn show.
So, Westworld. I watched Westworld long before.
Spoiler alerts for Westworld.
Yeah.
Season 1.
If you haven't watched Westworld, skip this part for like a minute. Go back and watch season 1 of Westworld. It's the best season of TV. That last episode, you have to watch the whole fucking show, because if you just watch the last episode, you're not going to fucking get it. And if you're still listening, spoiler alerts on you. So you watch this whole show, Westworld goes back and forth. You see one set of people, you want one guy, you see another guy. You see one guy, you see another guy. And at the very end of the last episode, you hadn't gotten it up until then. So we watched the season finale, and I spend pretty much...
One guy's an asshole. He's an older guy in a black
asshole.
hat.
Yeah.
He's a dick. The other guy's really nice. It's his first time at Westworld.
He's younger.
He has a white hat on. He's just like a sweetheart.
Yeah. He's younger. He's there with his brother-in-law. They have this company together. This company has a business interest in this park.
He falls in love with one of the robots.
Dolores.
So,
the whole time, through the first 9 episodes, I try to get a gauge on whether you see it or not. So the very last episode, I spend 95% of my time side-eyeing the fuck out of you. Because I'm like, when is she going to get it? When is she going to get it? And then the longer you didn't get it, the more jacked up I got, and I was trying to hide. I was trying to, like, I was fidgety, and I was looking at it. So it goes into the scene. The younger guy looks down. Screen kind of fades to black. Zoomed in on him. Screen kind of gets a little bit lighter, and you can tell the camera zooming out, and as he raises up,
he has the black hat.
It's the black hat, and it's the old guy, and you realize it's the same fucking dude. It's just, that was when he was younger, and this is now. And the whole time you kind of hate the older guy.
Right, a lot.
A lot, yeah, because he does some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
You realize that's the same fucking dude,
Yeah. I think I threw things.
Holy shit.
I threw things, I yelled, I screamed, I cried,
said,
I wasn't happy.
Direct quote, fuck this show, and walked out of the room.
I did.
She's still mad. She won't finish. She won't even start the second part.
I'm done with that show.
Alright, so end of the spoiler alert for Westworld.
So anyway, I knew that Decker was a replicant when he was asking Rachel questions.
No,
And you knew on the porch after the movie when I told you.
Now, I had thought about it, but I kind of put that out of my mind. Like, when she asked him, have you ever used it on yourself?
Right.
There was something else. But I kept flashing back, and I should have gotten it, because I kept flashing back to the lieutenant at the police station. That he has no choice whether or not to do this. Like,
right.
I was like, yeah, he does. He could have just walked the fuck out.
No.
But I should have put it together, but I did. But after thinking about it for a while, I have a little bit higher opinion of the movie, but it's definitely got its flaws.
Its concept is fine, but it was just so goddamn slow. And I know it wasn't an action movie, it was like a noir sci-fi movie, but goddamn, just a little bit of action would have been okay. Or just speed things along. Maybe so much, not so much. I don't know if they could. Maybe not so much establishing and just slow. Like, it was so fucking slow. Alright, so now it's time for Ratchet Reviews. So the first one is Ratchet as fuck, but it is a 5-star review.
5-star?
5 stars. I only have a handful, like 2 or 3 reviews. 5 stars. Not to be that bitch or anything, but Harrison Ford can slurp me like he slurped those noodles any day of the week.
Jesus Christ.
That comment, that review has 1,534 likes. Yeah.
Put old Han Solo in the spank bank, didn't she?
Yes, he did. Thirst for Harrison Ford. 0.5 star. You have to have brain damage to like this movie. At no point is there a plot. I would rather watch paint dry than this ever again. It would probably be more interesting, too.
There is a plot.
There is a plot. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, so who doesn't know the definition of a plot?
Alex.
It has a beginning where you come in. There's a middle. There's an end. There's a plot. Was it executed as well as it could have been? Probably not. It was 1982, and I feel like they tried to fast track some things and maybe got the wrong things. All right, let's cut back to Tyrell's bifocals. Jesus. Wow.
They are octagons?
They're octagons, but the entire middle, from the 4 corners of that octagon across the band across the middle is the magnified part.
Right.
And he's got an upper and a lower. He's basically could technically have 3 different shapes.
Right. They're kind of shaped like diamonds. They're very thick.
Yeah, they're... Whew.
0.5 star. This movie was terrible. Thank you for wasting my time. If you are ever thinking of killing yourself and needed something for encouragement, get halfway through this and you'll be ready in no time. Cult classic fanatics can choke on it.
Wow. Who went hard?
Yellow Vans.
I feel like Yellow Vans could take a little more patience. I mean, it is long. It's almost 2 hours long. And it does, the first half is very slow.
So slow.
But once it gets going, it's kind of like, I could watch a little bit. I want to see a little bit more. I want to know more about the replicants.
If we were watching this for enjoyment and not for this podcast, I'd have turned it off.
I have a weird thing where if I start something, I want to finish it, no matter how terrible it is.
You've turned some stuff off.
Very few. Very few.
Yeah.
I will generally at least stick out through the season and then reevaluate and be like, I don't really want to waste my life with this anymore. But I'll stick it out through a season or through the whole movie most of the time.
I have one more review.
Right.
Last one. 0.5 star. While this movie is probably number 1 in the spank bank of every film theory major, it's absolutely god-awful to everyone else. Good in theory, but awful in actual execution. They could have told the entire story in an hour if they just got the hell on with it.
And I know it's kind of short. Could you have told the story? I don't know if you could have shown the story. But
I was trying to see how far we were. We've been talking for an hour and a half. We've told the story, did reviews. Is that all you had to say about the last review?
What did he say? This it's in number 1 in the Spank Bank of film theory.
Film theory majors.
Film theory?
Yeah.
Did they execute the theory right?
Well, like film theory, like it's a college major.
What I'm saying is, if it was number 1 in film theory, everybody would be clamoring over to say, hey,
dude, it had a Rotten Tomato thermometer of like 90.
Maybe they're right.
People love it as like this neo-noir sci-fi that spawned all this sci-fi shit later. Also, that review was mine. I wrote that.
Did you add Spank Bank after I said it? Or did you have that before?
I wrote it yesterday after we watched the movie.
So fuck it, I was wrong.
Huh?
The critics did give it fucking 90.
Yeah.
I mean, I did change my review, like change my score. I was gonna say 3.
Mm-hmm.
I was because I'm interested in the premise of it. It jumped it from a 2.5 to a 3. And then after I got to thinking about
2.5's high.
him being a replicant the whole time changes it a little bit. Like,
but it doesn't, because I don't think he knows. So he's just operating as normal.
I feel like throughout this whole movie, he was kind of leaning into figuring it out, because he's got the piano. He's got all those pictures on the piano. He's got all those pictures in his apartment. When he saw Leon's pictures and he's looking through them, and he ends up finding Zora through the pictures. But I also feel like he's looking at Leon's pictures going, it's almost like maybe they're familiar, maybe they're not. Have I seen this before? Like, is there a default set of code that goes into all the replicants that he kind of deja vu is bringing back up to him?
Does it make the rape scene worse if it's replicant on replicant rape?
I mean, rape is rape.
Instead of human on machines, machine on machine?
No, I think it's the same. If you don't feel uncomfortable watching one of those scenes, you need to get checked out.
I thought it was wild that guy openly said that the scene didn't bother him in any fashion the first time he watched it. It wasn't until the second time he watched it that it made him uncomfortable. I was like, probably should have made you uncomfortable from the beginning. Like the second he slammed that door and pinned her against the wall and told her what to say to him.
I feel like if you watch that and you don't kind of feel a little weirded out by it, that should be your sign. Like, hey, I need help. Like, something is wrong over here.
Sweet, I am a normal functioning human.
That is a strong statement. Just because you empathize with a rape victim doesn't mean you're a normal functioning human being.
You're my husband. Like, you're supposed to be nicer to me than that.
I also believe there are very few normal functioning human beings in what everybody defines in their mind as normal.
I can't handle 6 more months of 2020 here. Like, by the end, I might not be even close to normal functioning.
We're holding it down pretty well.
I've been told that the sandstorm is going to block out the sun here in a couple weeks.
I don't think it's strong enough to block out the sun.
Didn't you see the thing he sent us? That it was going to reduce the amount of sun?
It's just less sunscreen.
Anyway, the book, or at least the graphic novel that I mentioned, is set in 2020. Maybe it'll have some tips.
I doubt it. I don't think anybody could have predicted pandemic, murder hornet,
civil unrest.
What else?
The African sandstorm that's going to hit the United States in a week.
That happens a lot.
Does it? Because I'm 35 years fucking old and I've never seen it happen.
I think it
happens a lot.
I think it generally goes into the Amazon.
Fires. Fucking Australia was on fire and then everything flooded.
Yeah. Okay, now the sandstorm, I think, is a little unprecedented. But the actual sand grains do make it from the Sahara to the Amazon little by little occasionally. Because they were talking about that in the One Planet documentary. Our Planet at David Attenborough.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't pay attention, did you?
No. This is why I don't know things. I just drink.
Oh, here we got the floor exercise. We got crotch rockets. Pow! We got death tantrum.
That's what it looks like. It looks like a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum. It freaks him out. He shoots her again. Doesn't stop her from freaking out. 3 times. He shoots her 3 times before she stops, like, break dancing. Anyway, what did you give this bullshit?
I'm in between a 3 and a 4. 3.75.
I don't guess that's technically against the rules.
It has a lot of potential. I do want to see the 2049.
Yeah, I mean, I
just
can watch
to know
Ryan
more
Gosling.
of the story. I bet you could. Could he slurp you up anytime he wants?
He's not one of my favorites.
Who's your favorite?
Actor? From like a hot perspective?
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth.
What other perspectives are there?
Good at acting?
Okay, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite?
What the fuck? That was a dumb question.
I was thinking of like a sexy standpoint. I didn't know you were differentiating sexiness. All of that. So, who's your favorite actor acting wise?
I don't know.
Somebody that, if they're in a movie, you probably want to see it.
I don't know.
Doing that.
I don't know. What's yours?
I could probably watch any Denzel movie.
Yeah, he's a good actor. What about your favorite sexy actor? Also Chris Hemsworth?
No.
I know who yours is. I don't even need you to answer.
Oh, Gal Gadot.
Yeah, I don't even know why you were pretending to think about it for a second.
Because in my mind I went back further, but once Gal Gadot got there,
Olivia Munn could hit the brick.
I mean, she don't have to hit the bricks, but wow, Gal Gadot is legit, like, definition of Amazon, like another breed.
Okay, calm down.
Hey, you were talking about Chris Hemsworth. What'd you give it?
Oh, I gave it a half a star.
Half a star.
And I read you my review.
Half.
Yeah.
Not even one.
No, it gets a half a star because it's technically a movie.
What would you give it out of 10?
Well, if it's a half a star out of 5, I guess it's a 1 out of 10, right?
Wrong. Right.
Fuck you, wrong. I don't know a lot of things, but I know that.
I guess you're right. I was waiting for you to say.
Oh, so in your head, you thought I was going to be wrong, and you were just, you didn't listen to what I said at all. You just, how dumb do you think I am?
I don't think you're dumb, but you are numerically challenged.
Yeah, I can handle it when it's in the ones.
But when not, you can't repeat the same number twice if it's more than like 5 numbers.
No, but I know what half out of 5 and then 1 out of 10 is.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Just give it.
I know my master's degree's from a party school, but it's still a goddamn master's degree, asshole.
You wouldn't even give it like a 4 or a 5? 5.
A 5 out of 10?
Yeah.
No.
Effort?
No,
Really?
you don't get effort. No, I'm not giving away fucking participation trophies.
I felt like it earned at least a 5.
Why?
I feel like the premise was good.
I think the review that was like, if you're on the fence about killing yourself, watch this movie and it'll drive you over the edge was spot fucking on.
It was.
I started just doodling halfway through the movie. I started mindlessly doodling and they turned into coronavirus bugs. Molecules, whatever the fuck that is. What word am I looking for?
Virus.
Yeah, okay, it turned into the coronavirus virus.
The coronavirus virus?
Like, everywhere. I'm guessing I would rather be dead than fucking watch this movie.
It was hard in the beginning.
This was almost to the end.
It pulled me around at the second half.
You're just wrong.
But it did not live up to the hype.
No, it's fucking dog shit.
I wouldn't go that hard on it. What else you got?
That's all I got. What else you got?
That's it. I would like to see the sequel.
Dude, you're going to have to give me time to forget this shit before you make me watch the sequel.
So do you think back in the day old Roy here was the shit? Like, second to Harrison Ford, but like people thought Roy was hot, and that's why they stripped him down to his boxers?
I don't know.
He's like Billy Idol, rock and roll kind of. Like, is his hair naturally that color, or did it dye it that color?
I don't think anybody's hair is naturally that color.
Stained?
No, like that's a white you only get from peroxide.
Don't peroxide give you the yellow tint?
I don't know. There he is with his cot dove. Anyway, we done here?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. So my recommendation, do not go fucking watch this movie. The final cut is available on CBS All Access if you have that. Otherwise, you're going to have to waste your good money and time on this.
If you like sci-fi, I would recommend it.
I like sci-fi. It's garbage.
But if you're not really into it, you're not going to get anything out of it. Yeah. I really wanted it to live up to the hype. Sorry.
I'm not sure. So we go week to week. You pick, I pick. You pick, I pick. I might have to penalize you a pick or two for this.
No.
Yeah.
We had to do this one. We had to. It's hyped up on the internet. Best sci-fi movie ever, blah, blah, blah. It's the gold standard.
What internet are you reading?
All those sites. Did they invent the boxer briefs in this movie?
Quite possibly. He looks like he's about to go run the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine.
I don't know how fast he is.
They almost look painted on there.
Yeah. Maybe that's his version of naked. Like, that's as naked as they get, since he's not a sex worker. So he didn't really get those parts.
No, because Harrison Ford fucked Rachel.
Yeah, but Harrison Ford was made to be more accurate. He was made to think he wasn't a replicant. In order to not think you're a replicant, you have to be able to drink and pee and hold your penis.
How important is holding your penis, do you think, to you being a human?
If you walk into a bathroom and you're like...
Oh, I didn't know we were talking about peeing. I just thought, day to day, holding your penis.
No, just peeing. Like, if you gotta pee and you're like Kendall, you're like, what the fuck?
Okay. This has been Run It Back.
Are you gonna finish it?
No, you do it.
Alright, this has been Run It Back for Blade Runner.
Ugh.
I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah. You can get all of our podcasts and find all of the links to our social media accounts on our website. It is runitbackpodcast.com.
All these moments will be lost in time, like tears in the rain.